Fishing trips can only be with immediate family members, and golf can only happen in pairs unless it's a family of 3 or 4.
This is not a return to normal today. The virus is too rampant to allow that. This is only a beginning of a phase of relaxing our outdoor recreation.
And if you're going to be hitting the trails, King 5's Vanessa Mishanya has some tips on how that can be done safely.
Recently, any outdoor adventure that I've had has looked exactly like this, sticking to my neighborhood sidewalks right by my house. We have learned some good news, though. Outdoor recreation restrictions will be easing up a little bit soon. However, before we head to our favorite state park or favorite boat launch, there are some things we got to keep in mind.
Just really excited to be able to open in some sort of capacity.
Anyone who loves the outdoors can agree. The fact that we can soon enjoy sights like these after being cooped up is thrilling, but it'll be different.
Try to avoid crowds as much as possible.
This is what they're trying to avoid. This was Rattlesnake Ledge a few weeks ago. Big crowds will be a no. So if you see a crowded parking lot, be prepared to find another park or just go home.
We want people to be safe. We don't want to create situations that are dangerous. And so it might mean coming back later or going somewhere else.
Kind of time to rein it in, stick to areas you know.
That's Chris Ellis, president of the Bellingham Mountain Rescue Council. If you're lost or hurt in the woods, they're the people who will find you. A few weeks ago, he posted this reminder on Facebook that the pandemic is not the time to be taking risks outdoors. Even with restrictions being lifted, his warning stands true.
Social distancing, I can imagine, is pretty tough when you guys are doing what you do.
In and out hiking we can, but really if we're having to pull someone down off a mountain, there's no way around it.
Stick to the local trails you know. You could be putting rescuers or yourself at greater risk of contracting coronavirus.
And if you get hurt and you end up in the hospital, you're also increasing your own exposure as well as possibly getting sick.
Taking more caution is key as we look forward to getting back to the scenes we love. Important to remember, the state says if it does see a rise in coronavirus cases, that it has no problem with putting restrictions right back on outdoor recreation. So it is so important to keep social distancing because I don't know about you guys, but as much as I love the sidewalks around my neighborhood, Milo and I would really like to get on some trails very soon. For King 5 News, I'm Vanessa Mishanya.
Despite the small reopening, the governor says other parts of his stay-home order will have to be extended.
We all have to realize that we are a long ways from the end of this virus, and we are going to have to maintain plenty of restrictions after May 4th.
Inslee says the state has to reach certain benchmarks before restrictions are lifted, so here they are. First, the governor wants to see a consistent reduction in the number of coronavirus deaths and infections. That appears to be happening. But he also says sufficient testing and a contact tracing system to identify and isolate patients needs to be in place, and we don't have those yet. Several other states are starting to reopen their economies. In Texas, the governor announced he's not renewing his stay-at-home order, meaning all restaurants and retail stores can reopen Friday at 25% occupancy. In Mississippi, the governor will allow retail stores to reopen. Georgia allowed restaurants, movie theaters, salons, tattoo parlors, and bowling alleys across the state to reopen over the weekend.
Tonight, new and disturbing details in the murder of a man in Burien. Court documents reveal the suspect is a 13-year-old boy, and he confessed to pulling the trigger in what police say appears to be just a random killing. It happened near the Highline Performing Arts Center. King 5's Sebastian Robertson tells us what happened.
That shooting happened Tuesday night, and according to the King County Sheriff's Office, that boy confessed and told investigators he just felt like doing it. Investigators believe a 35-year-old man, Hassan Ali Hassan, was shot in the back of the head and left to die just after 9 p.m. on April 21st. A 9mm shell casing found near his body.
The call was they heard a gunshot and they saw somebody laying on the ground.
According to court documents, the 13-year-old boy suspected of pulling the trigger left the scene and went to a friend's house, showing the pistol in order to be let inside. That friend telling investigators the teen took off when he heard sirens. King County major crimes investigators were able to use surveillance video to track the teen from the transit center all the way to the crime scene. He was arrested Friday, 3 days after the shooting, walking on the side of the road. Investigators claim the boy admitted to shooting the victim, telling detectives he was depressed, adding he just felt like doing it.
It's really sad when you think about it, just the entire picture. I mean, somebody's life was taken, a 35-year-old male, and then the fact that the suspect is 13 years old. it's very tragic.
A woman at the home where the teen was living was questioned by police. Told them her 9mm pistol was missing from the home.
But everything that we know so far does not appear that they know each other.
We're not naming that 13-year-old boy because of his age. He's currently being held at a juvenile facility in King County, and just this afternoon, a judge found enough probable cause to hold him on murder. In Burien, Sebastian Robertson, King 5 News.
Charges are expected this week for a 16-year-old accused of killing a man in SeaTac last week. Witnesses say the teen shot the man in his car near Highway 99 early Friday morning. He was spotted in surveillance video with the victim at a nearby 7-Eleven right before the shooting. Court documents show the boy was convicted of manslaughter just last year.
The deadline to pay May's rent, it is just days away. Feeling the pressure, a group of Seattle tenants hopes that a rent strike will encourage state leaders to cancel payments. Here's King 5's Britt Moore.
If you collect and stand firm together, unify, then the power increases dramatically.
Jasper Rose started this Facebook group encouraging others to join a movement in solidarity.
The idea is to get our representatives, our elected officials, to actually take measures to protect those that are most vulnerable. The condition is if they don't take action before May 1st, then there will be a rent strike.
A push to help the city's most vulnerable who may not be able to pay rent once Governor Inslee's statewide ban on evictions expires after June 4th.
If you're accruing debt and you cannot pay that debt, then those protections don't really help you. This is a Band-Aid, what we're doing right now.
Rose wants other tenants to band together, encourage landlords and state leaders to come up with a better solution. A rent strike would be the last resort.
The idea is to really talk to your landlord and compromise with them first.
With just 4 days until May rent is due, Rose hopes unifying those who are able to pay rent and those who aren't will send a message loud and clear.
Everyone unify together to protect those who cannot pay. Because if we all stand together, then those people will not be evicted.
Britt Moore, King 5 News.
Edmund Witter with the King County Bar Association's Housing Justice Project told the Seattle Times that rent strikes work only when tenants make precise demands. The Washington Community Action Network also says that tenants should be cautious and negotiate with their landlords.
6 staffers at the Norm Mailing Regional Justice Center in Kent have tested positive for COVID-19 in recent days. Public Health Seattle and King County is now offering free volunteer testing to staff at that jail. Meantime, prisons and jails across the country are dealing with coronavirus outbreaks where social distancing might not be an option. In Ohio, the state has conducted what it calls mass testing inside some of its facilities. At one prison, 1,800 inmates and 100 staff have tested positive. Here in Washington, 16 inmates are confirmed to have the coronavirus.
It is time now for the top 5 on King 5. All events with city permits in Bellingham have been canceled through the end of August. That includes facilities reservations. The city already canceled city-hosted events, so it means the city will not allow any events that require a city permit before August 30th. The governors of Colorado and Nevada are joining Washington, Oregon, and California in a joint plan to reopen. The governors say that they will continue to make the best decisions for their own states, but also discuss what's best for the region as a whole. Researchers say COVID-19 transmission in King County has likely plateaued. Using data gathered through April 4th, researchers from the Institute for Disease Modeling estimate that each person with COVID-19 will infect one other person, which is down from 3 people a month ago. Well, some parents are eligible for an extra $500 stimulus. Parents who receive supplemental security income or who are a VA beneficiary have to file dependent information with the IRS by May 5th to receive those extra funds. And state numbers show 165 new cases of coronavirus, bringing the total to 13,686. 765 people in our state have died. Nearly 180,000 people have been tested.